ever heard of a rosary? Well, the rosary is a thing that if you pray, they say God will hear you, and you have to pray it for penance. I got a book one time, and it was in Spanish, and it talked about the rosary. And I read this little book. It was a children's book. And this little children's book showed what the rosary was, and it taught Catholics how to pray the rosary. You're not going to believe this. I didn't believe it until I read it with my own eyes. This is what that little children's book said. It said, here's your rosary. And you go around and you pray the rosary, and you hold these beads in your hand. And it said you start on the first one. What is it? Jesus, Mary, Joseph, or something. But there were 3 main beads.
Wait a minute. I have to stop the clip here. Sorry about that, but we just have to address this. Mr. Breaker says that he knows the rosary. He read a book on the rosary, and he's going to tell you exactly what it said. But then he can't remember exactly what it said. This is the research that he's done. When did he read the booklet? Like 30 years ago, and he's just guessing at what he remembers it said? I mean, how can we even take him seriously? How can he even be credible when he says things like, on the first bead, you say Jesus, Mary, or Joseph, or something like that? On the first bead, you do not say any of those. That is not what you say on the first bead. So he has no idea what the rosary is about, people. I really hope you see this. He goes on to talk about the rosary, and every single thing he says is pretty much wrong. It's not even close to the truth. So if he hasn't done the research in this area, and he doesn't know what the rosary is about, even though he supposedly read a booklet on the rosary, in another language supposedly, then how can we trust him in other areas as well when he hasn't done his homework?
And you start at the first bead. And when you start at the first bead, you go around and you pray to these 6 beads. So one time, you pray 6 times around the rosary, and you come back. Then you move to the second bead, and you pray 6 times to 6 beads. And then you come back. This is what the book told you to do, to pray a rosary according to the Catholic Church. And then it said, now you go to the last bead, and you go around and pray 6 times. And then you start all over and repeat. What? What is that number? What does the Bible say about that number? You're praying the rosary, you're praying 666 every time you do the rosary. That's pretty scary.
I can't help but laugh here. I don't know what he's talking about. What he's saying makes absolutely no sense. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He says, I'm going to say what he says. He says you go to the first bead, and then you go around to the 6 beads. And then you go around a second time, and then you go around a third time, 6 beads. Guess what that is? He says, oh no, 666. It's what? What does this even mean? How do you even have a conversation with somebody who's not even living in reality and he doesn't even know what he's talking about? You don't go around the rosary 3 times. You go around the rosary once, first of all. You don't go around 3 times, so I don't know what he's talking about. Second of all, there's 5 decades on the rosary, not 6. And you don't keep going around them multiple times. So first thing he says is you go to the first bead, then go to 6, and then you go around to 6, and then you go around to 6 3 times. It doesn't make sense on any way, shape, or form. There are 5 decades. That's why you do the 5 Our Fathers, the 5 sets of the Hail Marys, and then the 5 Glory Bees. That's 5, not 6. And you don't go around 3 times to 666. So I don't know what to say about this, except that it doesn't make any sense.
But yet they call this transubstantiation. And they literally teach that they can pull God. They have the power to pull Jesus Christ out of heaven and force him into a little wafer and a little cup of wine. But what does the Bible say about that? Well, let's go to the book of Hebrews. What they also teach is that every time they do that, they are celebrating the death and burial of Jesus Christ over and over and over again. So every time they celebrate the Mass, they will tell you that they are sacrificing Jesus again. And you have to go to the Mass for the forgiveness of sins. So you go to Mass and you take the Mass and you're forgiven.
While Hebrews 9 says that Jesus' sacrifice was done once and for all, Revelation 5:6 shows Jesus in heaven not as the victorious Lion of Judah, but as a lamb looking like he had been slain. Why was he still looking like he had been slain in heaven after his resurrection? And the answer is because while his sacrifice was once and for all, that sacrifice continues to all people, to all nations, at all times until the end of the world. So Jesus is not re-sacrificed. His sacrifice comes down to us. It's already been done once and for all, but it is still being made known to us. It's still being made present to us, and in a special way through the Eucharist. And if you don't believe me, listen to what the Catholic Catechism of the Catholic Church says. In paragraph 1330 says this: the memorial of the Lord's passion and resurrection, the holy sacrifice, because it makes present the one sacrifice of Christ the Savior and includes the Church's offering. Unquote. Notice it says the one sacrifice of Christ, meaning the one that's already been done, but it says it's made present to us in the Eucharist, at the Mass. Listen to what the Catechism says here in paragraph 1362. It says that the Eucharist is a memorial of Christ's Passover, the making present of the sacramental offering of his unique sacrifice in the liturgy of the Church, which is his body. Notice again, it does not say Jesus is re-sacrificed. Notice again, it does not say that we keep killing Jesus over and over and over again. It says that his sacrifice was done once, but is made present to us. The applications, the merits, the graces of it are made present to us in this present day. That's not unbiblical. That's completely biblical, and that's exactly what the Catholic Church teaches. So all of these other people who are slandering the Catholic Church haven't really done their homework. And for someone like Mr. Breaker, who's claimed to read these things, we know for a fact that he hasn't read these things. We don't have time to debunk everything he says in this video. I really hope that you see he has no idea what he's talking about. But I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch this video, especially if you're not a Catholic and you're really researching the Catholic Church, you're looking into the Catholic Church. I really hope that you see that so many people, what they say about the Catholic Church just isn't true. What they claim about Catholic beliefs, dogma, doctrine, it's literally not true. And if you're a Catholic trying to learn your faith, trying to defend your faith, I really hope these help you. Take notes, learn the arguments, learn the catechism and the Bible quotes, commit them to memory, and defend the faith. We need more of this. We need to know our Bible, we need to know our history, and we need to know our faith. Because God is a God of truth. And if we live for Christ, then we need to live in truth. Unlike these people who slander and mislead people constantly in regard to Bible history and the Catholic truth, we want to live in truth, and therefore we need to know it ourselves. So thank you all for watching. Please, if you want some daily inspiration, check out our social media platforms on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and so on, our Facebook group pages. Thank you so much for all the people who do support our ministry, who do make it possible, and who do allow us to reach the world. Thank you all for watching, and God bless you.